What you're looking at here is the entrance of an upcoming subdivision near our place. Now, what I'm showing you right now, because I got a lot of emails asking me about how a subdivision lot works and how in buying subdivision, especially my OFW brothers, that will be the first time that they're gonna buy a subdivision property. Now, one thing that you will notice if you're buying a subdivision lot, things like this that you are looking at, a gated entrance, paved roads already done, in which when you buy your plot, it's already been subdivided by the developer, and all you have to do, if it's only a lot subdivision, you will build your house like this one we're looking at. It's a lot only subdivision, and this is of course located in the mountainous areas of Cebu City, because it's selling of course the natural climate of cool air, and it's far away from pollution. Now this is the advantage of having a subdivision lot. The roads are already cemented, your plots are already subdivided, so there is already most of the subdivision that's selling lots have already titled ready for each lot. If not, their application for subdivision is already been in place in the Bureau of Lands, unless of course they have developed something that the subdivision developer does not even own. So that's one thing that you have to check. If you're buying a plot in a subdivision developer, you have to check their paperwork, if it's already have titles, or if they don't have titles ready for your plots, then you have to check, do your own diligence, if such subdivision corporation had an application of the subdivision in the Bureau of Lands. Now, one advantage again of having a subdivision is your paved roads, of course. Your utility connections are already ready, like you can see here, the electric posts. It's already ready, and also the water connections are already ready. And one thing compulsory to the first time buyers of subdivision is you have to think that you are it's compulsory. That's the word I'm looking for, because I'm trying to use the encumbered thing, but no, it means compulsory. You should be a member of the homeowners association. Now you can see up above there are a tiny subdivision with already made ready to live houses, townhouses, row of townhouses, because that's a camellia subdivision that you can see up above. And those type of thing, as any subdivision is, that you gotta be a member of the homeowners association, because it is compulsory, as you have to share the expense in road maintenance, anything about here, like your guards. If you want to have guards that will open the gates for you, roaming around the subdivision at certain times to make sure that there's a presence of security around the whole place. So that's why it's compulsory. Now, there are cases that some subdivision don't have a homeowners association because they can't get along. Like one subdivision here that in Villa, they don't have a homeowners association like they do before. And also, the homeowners association will entail to be asking you the monthly dues that you agreed for the maintenance of your place, like the picking up of the rubbish, in which as a group you will be establishing your own homeowners association office that will coordinate with the government to the certain schedule of rubbish pickup around the subdivisions. And also the security guards that you have to put around the place in 24 hours round, and like how many shifts you're gonna put the security guard, 2 or 3 shifts, and that's have to be divided among the subdivision owners of how much is the monthly dues, especially if your subdivision is the one providing for water. But the best thing about the subdivision is they have like multi-purpose hall or anything facilities to share, and also to share the cost of maintenance. Like in high-end subdivision, they have a clubhouse with swimming pool that the homeowners can use. Of course, those maintenance of those kind of items will also be shouldered by the homeowners themselves. Now, if you're only buying lot subdivision, as you can see here, someone is doing their construction. Like I said, this is just an upcoming subdivision, so he is the only one that builds here first. But you can see that the roads are already done, the drainage on the road already done, the electric connections are already done there on the top. So that is the advantage of a subdivision. You are living in a gated community, and there is a compulsory of homeowners association membership. Some of this will be encumbered in your title, which is being written in your title as deed of restriction. So if you're wondering what is the deed of restriction, if you have a title to your property that you have bought in a subdivision, that means that the restriction is it is in a subdivision and you are required to be a member of the homeowners association. Now, what is the disadvantage if you're living in a subdivision? Number one, there's so much restrictions. Oh, you cannot be having your parties, of course, in consideration of your other neighbors. Number two, there's so much restriction of how much you can build. Like here, the house should not be lower than 2 million pesos. This kind of subdivision we're looking at right now, the minimum build that you can have on your house should be 2 million pesos, and it should be approved by the developer's engineering department. So you have to submit your plans, permits. As you can see, the owners even published their permits there. The owner of this house, there is a restriction how much you can build, and if there's already houses around here, there's also a restriction of how much or how many days that you're allowed you should finish your house, because it will be an eyesore for other houses around the area. Another thing is, if the leader of the homeowners association will be more on her self-interest, of course, it will be so strict on others and lenient on others that is friendly to her and him or him. So there is like a group that leads a subdivision association that imposes all the rules, but 9 out of 10 it exempts themselves. I have been to subdivision, living in subdivision, a few houses in subdivisions. It just don't work for me. But if you are the person that likes to be in a gated community with neighbors right next door to your land, then this is the place for you. But I would rather have, personally, that's why you can see my house up the hill here on the top. I want the freedom to expand, freedom to build what I can, and freedom to do without any person telling me that this is the rules, this is it. Because subdivisions sometimes can be a pain in your neck, especially if the leader, like I said, of the subdivision is more there for his own self-interest, making rules just to apply for others, exempting themselves, and making projects to gain what he can or she can. So you have to be also vigilant about your homeowners association. But this is what I mean with the video, that what are subdivision lots? They are gated community, and things that you have to check if you are not given a title when you buy it. Check with the Bureau of Lands if there's no ongoing or pending cases about that land that the subdivision have developed, that you will end up with no titles at all until the case is finished. And you know that it will take years, like 20, 40 years. So a subdivision lot should be your personal choice if you like the gated communities, and also the neighborhood that you're into will be next door to your plot. And some of them, the thing is, you might have a neighbors that's noisy and does not follow the rules of the subdivision, and who don't care because their relative is the leader of the subdivision association. And I have met some cases like that, when the next door neighbor is so noisy, but they are the leader. The mother was the president of the homeowners association, so it's so-called just reprimanding the house that's been complained of, but still nothing been done. And also rules that applies to others but exempt others. So I'm not discouraging you to buy a subdivision. In fact, I'm giving you a choice. If you want a gated community provided for, and you just pay. But I'm just telling you what are the things to look for to make most of you out of your investment in subdivision, especially checking that titles available. Now also, the developer will be advertising a lot of amenities when they're trying to sell the land. And when you all been living there, the buyers of the subdivision, that some of the amenities is not what they advertise for. Like one time, the swimming pool was quite a large size on the advertising campaign, and on the actual thing, when the subdivision was done, the swimming pool is comparable to a paddling pool. So things like that it should have this amenities, but it never happens. That's one thing that some of the developers are also known for, that they advertise lucrative amenities, but during the time of construction, when everything is sold out, amenities are not the same. So that's one thing that you have to look out for. And also, don't be surprised about the deed of restriction that you can see in your title, because that only means that you are compulsory have to be a member of the homeowners association to share the burden of maintenance of the whole thing. Now, another thing about subdivisions they are ruled under the jurisdiction of the HLURB. So any dispute that you have with your neighbors will be resolved in the HLURB, and also dispute against the developer, dispute against the homeowners association. It's all under the jurisdiction of the HLURB. And the HLURB is a non-quasi-judicial court. They conduct hearings there for all your predicaments or any arguments or any cases that will come up as you're living in a subdivision. But all in all, subdivision, like condominiums, are now very rampant here in the Philippines. And a few have liked the living condition in a subdivision. But a few like me already had experience of subdivisions. Then I opt for buying my own plot, and because I don't want the restriction of that imposes on a subdivision, and also I don't want the limited land. That's me. I want my own place. So you can see my place up the hill up there. And also, there is no limit of how many days I can build my house or houses, because in a subdivision, you should give the homeowners association like how many days you're gonna finish, because before your construction become an eyesore, and they will be complied to wall you up just not to make a destruction on the road, and it will be charged to you. Because that's one thing that you have to be careful about subdivision, about the rules and regulations and the bylaws of the associations. You have to also be diligent, do your own diligence about that, because some of them are quite illegal. I have seen some as not conform to the constitutional right of a person, because it's more like they think, some of these homeowners association think that they are the law of the land. Now that is the thing I want to share with you. The emails I received asking me about homeowners association, about subdivision lots, and what's the advantage and disadvantage. And at the end of the day, buying a subdivision lot or your own plot is a matter of personal choice. So this is the gated subdivision topic that I want to discuss to address my emails that I received.